Welcome to Mathematics for Principles of Economics. The topic of this video is how do we plot a demand schedule to make a demand curve on a graph.
And the math behind the economics is plotting on a Cartesian plane.
Recall that a demand schedule is just a list of quantities and prices that show what a consumer or consumers are willing and able to purchase at different prices. So we're holding everything constant except for prices. In the demand schedule shown here, let's say we're talking about a buyer's willingness and ability to pay for slices of pizza per week. So we're looking at a list of prices and quantities. So how do we plot these points on a graph to make a demand curve?
In order to do so, we have to understand how to plot on a Cartesian plane, and what you see in front of you is a Cartesian plane. In mathematics, in general, we have a horizontal axis that we label x. The values along the x-axis get bigger as we go to the right, and they get smaller and are negative as we go to the left from this point here known as the origin. And then we have the vertical axis labeled as y, and the values get bigger, positive going up, and they are negative going down. In general, when we are in an economic situation and we're looking at demand, we will be only in the first quadrant where both x and y, or p and q, are positive. So let's plot a couple points here. Let's begin by plotting the point 1, 4. The x value is 1, so we would go over by 1, and the y value is 4, so we would go up by 4, and we would get our point 1, 4. Let's do another point, 3, 5. The x value is 3, so we would go over by 3. The y value is 5, so we would go up by 5, and we would plot our point right there. The next one has negative coordinates. X is negative 2, so I would go to the left by 2. Y is negative 1, so I would go down by 1, and I would find this point here, negative 2, negative 1. Quickly, a couple others. Negative 2, 1 would be to the left by 2 and up by 1, and that would give me the point here. And finally 3, negative 4. Let's say 3, I would go 3 in this direction, and negative 4, I would go down negative 4, and I would have this point here.
Let's go back to the demand schedule we looked at earlier, and let's see how to plot these points. Let's first of all look at the price-quantity combination where price is equal 4 and quantity demanded is equal to 0. So we plot this point on the price axis at price of 4. Okay, next let's plot the point price is 3, quantity 2. We see that point on the graph there. Okay, when price is 2 and quantity is 4, we see the third point on the graph. At a price of 1 and quantity of 6, the fourth point is plotted there. And when price is 0 and quantity is 8, then we're at point 8 or quantity 8 on the quantity axis. If we connect these points and label it with a D, we have a demand curve which shows us the demand schedule in a graphical form. So next, let's look at other times we need to plot data to make graphs in economics. We actually use graphs a lot in economics, so we'll be plotting data and also interpreting data in many different situations. Supply schedules, cost functions, production possibilities models, and looking at macro variables such as GDP.
So we've learned how to use the math behind the economics in order to plot a demand schedule and to make a demand curve on a graph. Thank you so much for listening.